Um, let me just go and get into my spiel so I can let you open up with yours. Anything that you hear me, the brother, talk about, you know, don't take it at face value. Don't take it as true, but take it as our opinions. Research it. Look for yourself. Find the truth. When you find the truth, you can see where we were at. Again, research for yourself. It's important. It's fundamental that you research. All right. What's up? What's up, B?
Yeah, what's going on, man? What's going on? It's Brother Brian, aka the Silverback. You know, we doing our thing. Three-headed monster, 2/3 of the three-headed monster. We doing this midday thing because I'm home and he home. So what better thing it is to just get on here and just rap session and do what we do.
Right. You gotta
But
love
I just want to go out and first of all, I want to start it off by talking to everyone that's out there on the front line. And when I mean the front line, I mean the healthcare systems that doing their thing. Because you put you're doing a great service and you're doing the things that you're doing to save lives.
exactly.
This virus, this pandemic is big, and but at the same time, the people that are risking their lives, I mean, you know, they're not selfish enough to call out and say, I don't feel like coming to work. They're doing this and they're doing long hours. So to all my family members that I know are doing it, thank you. And to all the people, just protect yourself and understand, do some research and understand what we're really dealing with. Because I mean, don't take everything for face value that what people just tell you. Research it for yourself and find out, because you'd be amazed at the time that you have to sit down and do nothing right now, that you can research and find out a lot of stuff that you probably weren't paying attention to that you do. Boy, go ahead, man. So I just want to at least say thank you to the people that's on the front line, and continue doing what you're doing. I mean, I hate that the ones that are out there trying to save lives are catching it, and some of them are dying. So, do your thing, and keep up the good work.
Exactly. I put a ditto right behind that. I won't restate what you just said, but I like to thank everyone too. That gets out there on the front line, and I'll have to get out there on the front line tomorrow. So I absolutely understand that you have to keep your family safe, but yet at the same time you're keeping all of us safe and supplied. Thank you. So what are we talking about today, bro?
Let's talk about this unity, man. I know we did one Friday, and just trying to get an understanding of what do you do while you're sitting at home right now?
Right.
Chilling. This, I mean, I'm always doing something. Yesterday, because this to the fact that this is really boring because you can't go nowhere. I guess my social reaction is going to Walmart and watching people just. It's funny going to Walmart, but yeah. Not only that though, is because to be completely honest, a lot of these masks the cloth masks are not really the best masks to work with. But,
right, that's true.
But I mean, there's people out there doing their thing. I've been doing home projects. I've been doing a lot of home projects, mostly outside. It's very important. So like today is a beautiful day. Get that sun, get that vitamin D in your system. Get that information. Get that information, because everybody got to understand that is more of a DNA information that we really just don't pay no attention to, because everybody wants to get out of the sun because they're we ain't gonna even get into that because that's a whole different thing. But really get out there and get in that sun, because all day yesterday I was doing mad yard work. So we doing projects and sitting around just continue to build on this castle that I just bought last year. So finally put my house in order.
Right.
So
I mean, you absolutely dead on point with that. While you're at home, and when you do have the downtime and you're not doing home projects, yeah, stay out there in the sun. Get that vitamin D intake. Build a, and it takes, especially if you're melanated, it's going to take you a little longer in the sun to generate the vitamin D that you need. So make sure you're out there for a good while. Taking vitamin C, C, D, and some zinc. Get you some zinc too. Um, you know, it can be, I'm not super high levels, but get you enough zinc in you, because whether we understand it or not, with a virus, all viruses work the same. So if you got a good zinc intake, vitamin D, vitamin C, it's hard for these viruses, for their protein arms to latch in and take hold of your cells when they're healthy and hydrated. But other than that, when you get time, when you're back in the house, read, study, order some books from Amazon.
that's the only problem with it, is you might not get them books until after this pandemic is over with. But
That's true, but you'll have them coming.
yeah. Also, I mean, you gotta drink plenty of water. Get your water source in. But then you have to really, this is the time that you can really cleanse.
Right.
Get a lot of, because right now you can get fast food, but at the same time, this is the time that you can really start putting a lot of stuff in your life in order.
Exactly.
When I say that is because you have to take care of your body. Because right now we be so, going here, going there. So we don't really get a chance to really, focus on your body and try to keep your body in a healthy standpoint. So now, what excuse do you have? Because you're not running around doing nothing. You at home. You at home chilling. Only thing that's really is interesting about this sitting at home is you find out truly if you really like being around your family or not. So,
you're right.
So it's tough. I mean, it's tough if you're not family oriented already, because sometimes some people use their job as their a time away from family.
Yeah, their escape.
Yeah. And either you find out if you're truly alcoholic or you're just a social drinker. So there's a lot of stuff about this that you can find out about it. I don't drink, so to me it's just drinking a ton of sweet tea. Dude, I go to McDonald's just to get sweet tea. Seriously.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, when you're stuck in one place, if you will, it kind of exacerbates all these habits that you have. You'll find out, you eat too many snack cakes. You'll find out you drink too much soda. But it is a time to concentrate on you, your body, put your meal plan together, get you some more water intake, exercise, get back to the earth. Get outside, take your shoes off.
Get grounded.
Walk in the grass, get grounded. This is a good time. While these things are going on, to actually find you. Sometimes we're moving so much, with the job, with the family, with things we think we have to do, that we don't even really get in touch with ourselves. We really don't know who we are, because we have to evolve just like everything in the universe. And we don't take time to know thyself, to know how we've evolved from one day to the next, 1 year from the last, 1 decade to the next. This is a great opportunity to tune in to the universe, and actually meditate and hear what it is that you need to be doing.
And this is true. And I mean, this is a focus point to focus on the things that are real important. And this either got your attention to find out what's real important, which is your circle, I mean,
Right.
that's either because some people don't really have a family, so whoever's
Right.
in your circle, you pay more attention to. So
Right.
you kind of zero in, and you want to check on people that's you probably wouldn't even check on because you was running around. So now, since you have the
Right.
time to sit down and watch, you're paying attention to a lot of things. And again, understanding everything the media is saying is not really, it's not to benefit you in a positive way. How about that? Fear.
True.
Because
True.
that's something that, I get caught up in it too. But at the same time, I come with a different point of view. So you always have to pay attention to that too. So the media will have you, all shaken up and forgetting
Right.
again, this is a political year. So this is an election year. So, I don't want us to rush back because we'll rush back not understanding what we're rushing back to get back to what we were beforehand. And I don't even know how we're gonna I don't know how we're gonna be after this because the social distancing kind of it pushed everybody away. It pushed everybody into Facebook, into social media, but it
Right.
pushed everybody away from real
Real content.
interaction.
Yeah. Real
Me and
content.
you, if we was in the same city, we'd be in front of each other doing this
Right.
together.
No
But I'm
doubt.
in Philadelphia, you in North Carolina, so this is the only
Right.
way we can really contact and interact.
No
So,
doubt.
am I fearful of this virus? No. Um, I tend to try to understand it, but like again, I do research. I do a lot of studies, a lot of lectures. It's a really good lecture out. I don't know if people that's into Dr. Phil Valentine. If your mind is not ready, do not listen to his lectures because his lecture will blow. It will. If you're not even conscious of self,
Right.
his lectures will go right over your head, and you'll probably look at it in a negative setting when he's really put knowledge out. So he has a really good lecture about this. KT, the artist degree, brings it out. Dr. Inky has a good one that's out that's talking about this virus. It's a lot of different people that's putting out a lot of information out here that a lot of us would not be ready to understand because these people are not on the level of, or you might not be on that level of understanding what's truly what they bring. And so you have to really, this is the time that you meditate. This is the time that you let your subconscious really talk to you. Really start, you need a connection because we're so disconnecting to our subconscious. To the fact is, only time your subconscious is really talking to you is when you sleep.
Right.
And we become so used to that. To the fact is, what if your subconscious was contacting you all the time? What if y'all was on that same wavelength and on that same level that when your subconscious is literally talking to you, you get it right then and there and be like, all right, I feel okay, boom, got it. You know what I'm saying? Because your subconscious is getting information. It's getting information from the earth. It's getting information from the sun. It's getting information from the ancestors. So you getting something that's so powerful that we don't understand. And when I say subconscious or a subconscious level, this is the one way I can tell you that you have a subconscious because you breathe it. The blood is flowing through your body. Everything is functioning in your body, but you're not doing that. You don't control that. So you have to understand what mechanism or what other principalities is actually doing this. I had to say principalities. I had to keep it together, you know. And that's why you have to understand that that's why when it, if you even go with the scripture, there's, mind, body, and soul, mind, body, and soul. So that's
Right.
three. And you got to understand it's the other two, because your emotions is a part which is your ego, but then it's the other part of your ego that you have to understand. So when it says money, mind, body, and spirit, there are three things that's inside of you. That's you, it's your subconscious, and this is this body that we're all connected into. So that's your three entities. But go ahead, because I'm gonna keep rambling and you know me.
Yeah, I'm getting you, and a lot of people won't understand when you talk about voluntary and involuntary things that happen inside of your mind, inside of your brain. Um, but let me say this.
Yeah.
I'm really feeling that, because when you got your subconscious, if you will, with your conscious mind, and they're connected and actually can operate at the same time, your whole spiritual mind is operating at one time, and that's a powerful thing. And a lot of people, they don't realize it. Like sometimes you get this intuition, or you get this something, this voice that says, don't do that, or don't do this. Occasionally you get that subconscious that speaks to you, because your subconscious mind, it takes in all this information, but it doesn't have a filter. It doesn't filter it through the reality that you believe life is.
Mm-hmm.
See, your consciousness, you filter it through what you think reality is. That's why everybody's reality is so different for them and for themselves. It's because of the programming you've been getting all your life. This filter that has been made in your conscious mind. So it's important. Like I said, I know people watch TV, but it's important. Get away from TV. Get away from the programming. Get away from some of the music that we listen to, the programming. So your brain can actually dilute a little bit. And keep hydrating and let your brain actually get back to the state of where it can evolve. But you mentioned something. I had to write it down because I didn't want to interrupt you while you was in your tangent.
But I get rambling.
But it's all good. Like I said, it's a midday talk. Everybody should know by now. This is just like being at the barber shop. You're just not getting a haircut. So you said, and you just said it. You said, I don't know what to do, right? And I think, man, for me, that's one of the most powerful statements that's been said since we've been here, is because most people don't know what to do. And that shows a lack of unity. It shows a lack of preparedness. It shows a lack of what we think about our future. And I'm not just talking about from an individual standpoint. I'm talking about from a standpoint of a community. Because you can have the whole community is asking this same question. What do we do? What are we supposed to do? When the virus hit, what are we supposed to do? We don't have any action plans for anything. Let me ask you this. Do you think us as a community is going to benefit from the financial crash? Because think about it. We didn't invest anyway. So we didn't lose any money. So this is a perfect time for us to reinvest or to invest money into a dead market, because trust me, it's coming back up. It always goes back up. But we don't sit around a dinner table talking about investing. We don't sit around the dinner table talking about what properties we should get. We don't sit around the table talking about, what residual income can we create during this crisis. What we talk about is, I can't get to Walmart to get my favorite snack cakes. I can't, I can't go out to the mall. I know they're dropping them new Kobe's. I can't get them new Kobe's. But we're not taking the time to say, okay, now all these children are at home. How much are you teaching them about your history? Not just that, not just you, because you probably don't know anything about your history. Why are you not trying to get them in contact with people that know the history of our people, and teaching on a bigger scale? When our kids go back to school, they shouldn't go back as those same kids being ready to be programmed. They should have They should have their minds wide open. They should come back full of questions. Well, when we were here last, this is what you said, but this is what I found out. You know what I'm saying?
But that's and you know what? That's deep. And the reason why I said deep, because I was getting ready to say something that was like, no, that was wrong, because you're right. Because now once you start studying, when you have time to take, it's no rush to do what you got to do. What do you do? Because if you start questioning the teacher, then the teacher be like, you get labeled as a problem child, but it's like, am I really a problem?
Everybody's doing it.
That is true. But but at the same time, you are challenging your teacher to challenge you to
exactly.
Because if you came and when you left and you was at this level and you came back at this level, okay, now she's trying to get above that level above you, so you can, but it's on a different avenue. But you're right. What do we do? Because I just happened to have a conversation with a friend about me moving here to Philly and me not knowing, dude, how much snacks you taking? Okay. I'm home with my boys, so just in case you see me interact, I got 10 and a 16-year-old. Boy, you just don't know. But go ahead, man. You're not interrupting me. Go ahead. What? I'll let you figure that out. And what happens is we tend to, I don't forget what I was just talking about. But no, but at the same time, we have to understand where we at. Oh yeah, I was talking to a friend earlier. I'm sorry, y'all.
Right.
That I had to move out of where I was, which was South Carolina, to grow. And the reason why I said that is, and this is just real, just me talking to me, because I didn't really start reading until I moved out of Philly. Until I moved into Philly. And the person was like, why? South Carolina has this, South Carolina has that. Now it's like, from where I'm from, there's not much knowledge being pushed forth. It's not, I came to a big city and I get around real blackness. You see what I'm saying? Not really saying that, or it's more melanated people. I'm around a lot of different cultures. Maybe that's the word I need to say it. I'm heavy in culture or when I'm around in this area versus me being in South Carolina when, and she was like, well, you could have used the internet to get this information. I was like, then I wouldn't have paid no attention to it because it would have went against the Christian beliefs that I had when I was in South Carolina. Which stops you from a lot of different things because you're only thinking in a religious mind, and it will stop you. I am spiritual. I believe in the Most High. This is me. I can't talk for Jerome. I can only tell me. So I believe in a higher power. I believe in a higher source, and I believe that everything that we get, you have to is deep. In other words, I don't give my powers to one deity to be my middleman to another deity. See what I'm saying?
Right.
I just don't do that. So you won't see me. So because most people are thinking that I'm anti-Christian or anti-religious, this, and sorry about that. I'm not. It just, the fact is, my mind is on a different level. I'm on a higher path. I'm above that whole religious mindset, and then I'm trying to even get more spiritual. To the fact is that I'm trying to connect to something that I didn't have a connection to before. And that's why when it comes to the subconscious, the ability that being connected with your subconscious would take you to a higher plane. And I'm trying to get to that higher. I'm trying to get to the next level, because once you do everything at this level, you get bored and you want to do something else. So my challenge is to read more about the true American history. When I mean the true American history is the natives, the indigenous, not the indigenous, because we're all natives because we're all born here, so we're all Native Americans.
Exactly.
But the indigenous people that was here before the Europeans got here, and threw the hand grenade into the whole country, you know, which
True.
is mostly plague, the whole is pre-slavery. How about that? But not only that, I don't neglect the African ancestors that put a lot of stuff into place, because we are descendants of Africa. So I don't
Right.
I don't disconnect from that. So it's more of, we got two sources, and then when I say that, you have to look at a lot of people. When we as a people, we confuse when it comes to where our history is at. And I'm on
Right.
that path, you're on that path, that we can throw it at you and tell you, you probably ain't gonna believe us. But at the same time, that's where I'm at. I'm on that
Yeah.
knowledge of understanding when diseases, which I don't feel like our ancestors had diseases like on this level. They found ways to, pandemics was nothing. So they kind of, what did they do? How did they react when they had a crisis going on? And what did, that's what level I'm on, to try to understand and be on that level when, before, again, pre, slavery, before the
You can go
whole
back.
time.
You can go back further than that, pre-Columbian history. But let me jump in on you, because I
Go
know
ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
you getting in. You throw two different topics out there. I want
Oh, my
to
bad. I told you I get the rambling.
but I want to go back to one you was talking about, because I had a similar conversation a few days ago, yesterday. I have them all the time. It's about religion, um, and about what do I believe, right? And so
Yes.
here's my thing. What I believe is that there is, you like the Matrix, right?
Mm.
So in the Matrix, Neo's journey, you know what it was really all about?
Finding his subconscious.
It's finding his subconscious and him going back to reunite with the source, right? Because once he reunited with the source, he would be reborn, right? But I'm just put that picture in your mind just to say that I believe that there's a higher, you can call it power, you can call it intellect, you can call it spirit. It's all words. But I believe there's something that bonds this universe, right? And I think that we all, and from the science part of it, your brain has a lot of these nerve endings, right? And through these nerve endings is electricity firing. That's what thoughts are, right? That's what consciousness is. It's electricity, it's this energy. So I think that we all, and scientifically, we're all energy based, and we all put off a frequency. And I think the universe has a frequency. I think when you can get in tune with the frequency of the universe, with the frequency of your body, that's when you start to evolve. Now, this is what I believe. Now, as far as religion was created by man to control man.
Mm-hmm.
To keep your thought patterns in line with a certain agenda, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you didn't have the manpower to keep the military in every home, what do? You just tell them there's an invisible God that's watching them. And so everything that you do is watched by that invisible God. And
Mm-hmm.
so if that person doesn't study, if that person's not enlightened, what they think is that they're being watched by every moment by an invisible God. Call it God, call it Hosea, call it Santa Claus, call it whatever you want to call it. And so you get into a mindset, and then once you're in that mindset of control, then they can put doctrine onto it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how religion was created. It just so happens when your mind has evolved to where you can actually think for yourself, you see that you're above the control of man, right? And that all the things they're talking about, could be true, but it wasn't written in a book by a man. It's in the universe, it's in these frequencies, it's in these vibrations. But that's another topic.
See.
But but you also talked about our history, and you talked about Africa, right? And see, there's a lot of confusion in that. You know, that's why you have the conscious community. You have these that indigenous brothers and sisters, and these Pan-African brothers and sisters arguing with each other over the silliness. You know, we're all indigenous to this earth.
Sure.
You know, there's not a singular place. Even if there is a singular place that life started, it doesn't mean anything. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I always look at it like this: if the earth is round, you know, so our flat earth brothers and sisters won't say, what do you mean? But if the earth is round, right, and it's a ball, so if you take any point of that ball, you can put it on top, you can put it on bottom, it's round. So it doesn't really matter where it's at because it's all the same if you're on a round ball, on a sphere. So it doesn't matter if we start in Africa, if we start in South America, if we start in North America, Asia, even on the continent of Australia. It really doesn't matter because, you know, over the period of time, we've covered the earth. And so what I always want to concentrate on when we talk about history is more recent history, maybe like the last 100,000 years, because that's where the confusion comes in. People think, well, we're African. We were brought from Africa. Well, you know, we had been off that continent. Well, a lot of us have been off that continent for 100,000 years. So you can't truly claim Africa as your birthright, if that makes any sense.
Sure.
And you know, there were Africans here in the Americas because they were brought here, you know, and they traveled here. They used to travel here just for trade. So to say one or the other, you know, pre-slavery, because slavery is always the starting point for most people's history. And slavery was just an interruption of a beautiful history. But go ahead, I won't.
No. But I mean, but you're right though, and that's where the confusion at, because all we want to do is allow our. I'm trying to find the right words to say this, because of the history that we've been taught is not really the true history. Everybody keeps thinking like, yeah, we came here on a slave ship, slavery.
Right.
This didn't start just when, I mean, because that's the history they want to teach you, is not the history that we need to understand when it comes to here in the true American history. I mean, we done did plenty of podcasts about it. We to the fact is we keep talking about it, to the fact is you probably gonna get tired of hearing us talk about it, because that's something that we have to break the shackles and chains off of that.
Right.
Because it's more of a mental slavery that we have to understand versus, you know, because you have to, when the Pilgrims came here, when the Europeans came here, you can't just, in other words, it's like you don't move into another state unless somebody's there to help you.
Right.
You just can't just move. Say, for instance, if I just move to Iowa or Idaho and then be like, I'm just going to move there. And then be like, oh, wait a minute. I'm coming from the South. I'm coming from the East Coast. I'm in the Midwest. Don't really know what's going on. Don't know how the weather is. Don't know the soil for me to do the planting. See, that's all the stuff that most people don't ask that question. So you telling me Europeans came over here, they took a chunk of land, which they had to get permission to take. See, again, that's a whole different other history that a lot of people don't want to understand.
Right.
And you want to ask those questions, but who do you ask those questions about? And that's our problem right now, is when it comes to, because we go to school to get programmed.
Exactly.
Think about it right now. You're not in school. My boy is still in school, and they're not in school. So, you know, now they don't have that constant programming going on, telling you this and this. Because when I say programming, because if you go to school and say, for instance, you say, well, this ain't the right history that I got. They was like, well, the book tells us this is what we have to go by. In other words, you have to go through their curriculum.
Exactly.
to pass their particular equivalence of saying who you are as a person. And that's the thing that we have to always fight against, because when you go through what, even a 4-year-old, then you got pre-K, you got 5K, you got, so you almost 14 years in of being programmed. So when you get out and you say, for instance, you go to college, that's another 4 years. So you can't question, you can't go against the system, because if you go against the
Right.
system, you're considered a rebel, or you considered as an outcast. You get labeled because you're going against the grain. In other words, you have to play these systems to to be established here in this country under this particular corporation, because the United States is a corporation in England. But that's a whole nother story that a lot of people will look at us and be like, what? But you have to look at it in a sense of, we truly need to sit down and read, because
Right.
the thing about it is, you can hide the truth, but the truth is always there. And the best way to hide the truth from people of color is put it in the book, because they won't read it, or they brainwash you to the fact is at school, to the fact is you wouldn't understand what you was reading.
Right.
So go ahead, jump
So
in.
now here's my thing, especially with history.
Yeah.
Like I said, we not only reading, but you have to have critical thinking, right? Critical thinking is key. So let's look at it from this perspective. So in the 1600s, we won't even talk about the Spanish being over here in the 1500s, but in the 1600s, English came over, right? 1619, right? And so they got here in 1619. You know, a lot of people with the whole Plymouth Rock story, and I noticed I said story. So, so they got here without anything, without any provisions, just a boat, right? Just a boat and a lot of people, and they created civilization in the United States. I'm just follow me.
No,
And
I
so,
got you. Go ahead.
So they brought these Africans over, like 10 years later, right? These few Africans. And so as time progressed, we're going up into the 1700s. They started bringing more and more Africans, right? But think about it. Now, this is a 70-year period. They haven't built any cities, right? Couldn't have. You know, they hadn't had the manpower. They were struggling trying to even get settlements to stay, right?
Oh, here
They
you
didn't
go.
have any cities.
Conspiracy.
No, this is critical thinking.
I know, but I'm saying what people mindset is gonna say. So go ahead.
Right.
I'm with you on this. But keep going.
So you got to critically think, and during this time, you know, you're not getting help from Native Americans, right? So now you're into the 1700s. So the 1700s come, and Britain still owns these colonies. There's no America. There's no Americans. France, they own some land. I'm going by what you taught in school. The Spanish, they own land, right? So here you get into the late 1700s, and these colonies decide, you know what? I'm tired of paying taxes on tea. We're going to revolt and create a whole new country because tea prices are just like way too high, right? So in 1776, this is when the independence of America happens, right? So now think about this. Boston is a city, full-fledged city by then. You know, and so you go, Richmond, Virginia is a full-fledged city by then. You know, and so you get Atlanta, it's a full-fledged city by then. You know, New York is a full-fledged city by then. Now, these are people that were struggling to even live. Didn't know how to grow anything, didn't know how to provide shelter for themselves. In less than 100 years, they have full-fledged cities already here. So full-fledged that now they can argue about the price of tea. and why we're being taxed so much for tea. Now, mind you, during this time, you know, they had their own slaves. So another 100 years goes by, and slaves are freed in 1865. Now, during this whole time, or this 200-year period that we're talking about, slaves, these ignorant Africans that were brought over here, multiplied like crazy. It was illegal for them to read. It was illegal for them to write, but yet they spoke tremendously good English, you know, and couldn't read, couldn't write, right? So when they were freed, and this is the time what we call Reconstruction period, right? So during this time, these ignorant Africans that were brought over here on a boat that couldn't read and write suddenly became doctors, lawyers, politicians, lawmen. I mean, as soon as they were free, they created their own towns, they created their own cities. Now, how does this happen? Can we critically think for just a second? And you would understand that those people were already here. Those people already had cities. Those people already had towns. That the ones that came over there with nothing assumed what was already here. And this is America. But nobody wants to talk about what truly is America. Everyone wants to talk about what they're being taught in the book. And you got to understand, whoever has control gets to tell the story.
Dude, that's wow. See, again, we get into history because all of a sudden we have all these cities is built like that. Because now people have to see. This is the thing about, because I mean, you deepen into you dig into some serious history, but at the same time we have to understand this. If you go see the great monuments in Spain, that was built, you got to understand the people that's occupying now was not the people who built that house or who built those houses. Now we have to understand, because we understand, and when we go to looking at ancient history, I mean, you see some of the wonderful structures that was built, you know, in the early 700s, 800s, 900s. Even I mean, how deep do we want to go with this? Because that's the part about when you have to really start understanding history and start, how you saying, that logical thinking, because now it'll start binging in your head like, yo, because I'm writing down, because okay, 1776, it was 13 colonies.
Right.
You said they got here in 1619?
Right.
Plymouth Rock, yeah.
Again,
you know.
But see, they couldn't establish a good settlement to like 1630s, 1640s.
Yeah, you know, yeah. So the first slaves didn't get here until
like 1629.
1670.
No, 1629. That's when they had the first 28 slaves that came over.
So this is something I want people to just look at. So we're looking at 1629.
Right.
25, 26, somewhere around there, you have your first 28 slaves. And then we can go 300 years later, it's about 5 or 6 million of us here.
Right. Right.
And then they'll tell you
50 million now.
Now, 15 million came over here on a slave ship that can only get here in 90 days, only if they sail from the Caribbean. You see what I'm saying? So that's why we need to understand is who was already here. Who was Columbus? When Columbus and his people, right? These Native Americans look like they're Africans.
Right.
Charleston was already built.
Right.
You can't dock and port somewhere that's not already got a place for you to dock and port.
Exactly.
So when we keep thinking, man, I get exhausted sometimes trying to explain this to people, because they got to understand that this is deeper than what you think it is. For me to destroy your mind, I have to get rid of your history. I got to get rid of everything in your past. That's why it's so important that you have to understand, you have to plant yourself in something. So when you're driving, you always look in your rearview mirror, but you also looking forward too. So that's how life is. But for us people of melanated skin color here, and this even go with the Hispanics even. I mean, you could even say that the brown, that the history has been changed to the fact is you don't even know where you're going. You just going somewhere, but you don't know where you came from. Because, but then somebody, but you just, you depend on your GPS to get you there, or it tell you where your starting point was. Our starting point is bigger than what we think it is.
Oh,
we was
I know
already
that's
here.
right.
We was already here. So when you call me, I'll let you call me black. Then I look at you, I'm like, and I mean, I have these arguments with people of non-melanated. I'm like, no, I'm indigenous. I'm an indigenous, this. How do you know? What, did you go on Ancestry.com? What tribe was you part of? That's because that's the history that you take. That's when y'all came in, and then you tried to group everything. Understanding we went from indigenous to Native American to Negro to black, colored,
back to black, back to color.
We done went through so many different groups, and when Native Americans or indigenous people got grouped into the Africans, and since we had the same color, that's why we all got grouped in the word color. So we have different shades. You realize there's a lot of different shades of us when it comes to everything. So that's why we have to truly understand that. Right there is very important for us to break that part of the history down, and understanding that we got put into a color scheme. To the fact is, we are not out of that color scheme, because we keep looking at color as the main important factor when color means nothing. Color just means that, my indigenous, that is what my body is able to, grab from this DNA, factor point, which is the sun. In other words, I can last in the sun a lot longer than somebody that's not melanated. In other words, I go out there and be like, yo, bring it to me, give me, versus somebody be like, oh, my skin turned red but then that's where you kind of understanding where your people are from, because some people can stay in the sun, some people can't stay in the sun. I didn't like to be in the sun because I used to get picked on because I'm dark skinned. Now, to the fact is, I respect it. Respect who I am. That means I respect self. In other words, whatever you say, don't really care. That's where we need to stop paying attention to letting other people. Go ahead.
America is about one thing. They've taught self-hate to melanated people, and non-melanated people have been taught to hate melanated people. So everybody has been taught to hate what's melanated. So it's interesting when you talk about, just take for example the word mulatto, right? Why is mulatto?
I forgot about that one. I forgot about that word.
Why is it a Spanish word, right? Mm-hmm. So as a reason for it, because that's what most of the biggest mixing happened, and that was the result. When you take Hispanic means a language group, a group of people that speak Spanish. That's what Hispanic means. Hispanic is not a race. Hispanic is not a ethnic group. It's a language group. That's why Sammy Sosa is Hispanic, but he used to be as dark as us. That's
well, look like Michael Jackson color now.
Right. So that's why, somebody like Big Papi and Jennifer Lopez can both be called Hispanic, because they're both not ethnically the same, but they're both in the same language group.
There you go.
So, it's a lot that we have to unpack when we start talking about race, because people get so sensitive and so touchy. Nobody wants to be black. You know what I'm saying? No group. But
or it's more of nobody wants to be black, but everybody wants to be black.
Right. You don't want to be treated black, but you want all the other benefits.
There
You
you
know what
go.
I'm saying?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting, like I said, like even Hispanic groups, that didn't start until like the 80s. They never even classified themselves as with that word. Only when you started seeing civil rights happen, and it was pushed that black people were starting to be in position to get certain rights and certain benefits, that you see all these other groups created, other minority groups created, if you will. But getting back to the history, I just feel it's interesting that if you find out who you truly are, then you find out what benefits are truly yours. That's the whole thing. They don't want to keep your history from you just because they don't want you to know who you are. They don't want you to know what you're entitled to. They don't want you to know. It's just like if your rich uncle died, right? But you were never around him because you never knew who he was, but he left everything to you. Well, the people that are trying to benefit from the inheritance are never going to let you know who you truly are. Never going to let you know what you really meant. The ones that are holding.
Yo, that's powerful. That's powerful. Go ahead. Keep going. Keep going.
So the reason why, that you need to find out who you are and what you might be entitled to everything. Listen, the Indigenous Peoples Act, right? That was passed when that was in 2008, I think, when Obama first came in. This is when it was passed. If you just go back and read that, what the Indigenous Peoples Act and the benefits that Indigenous people can get from a country, and then you'll understand why you need to find out why you're Indigenous as a community, and we can all come together and we can all take back what is ours.
That's the fear. That is the main factor in fear of why we keep getting miseducated, because it's done that for a reason. Because if I stole something from you,
right,
when you was a baby,
right,
you'll never know your birthright. You'll never know because you just didn't know. You just didn't know. That's why you have to. That's why it's deep. Again, we just been miseducated. It's miseducated for a reason, because again, you have birthrights to something that you'll never know that you have rights for, and then for us to starting to understand it, because Noble Drew Ali was saying that when it came to the whole Moorish movement of the rights of us as indigenous people back in the 1930s, he opened a lot of different things, and the Nation of Islam jumped on it too. So you have to look at, again, we going through history, and we seen, say, from 1865 to the early 30s, look how far advanced we became as a people. Again, we don't know how to read and write, but again, we're scientists.
Right.
Everything that's created. Think about all the inventions that was created by so-called slaves that nobody wants to even, so
think about this, dude. Think about this. So how was you could come out of slavery, being totally ignorant for 200 years, and you could create a Tuskegee Institute. You could create all these black universities. Who was doing it? Who come up with that? So I mean, that discounts all of that whole. Now this is what I want you follow me on this, because you was writing down these dates. So this is what I want you to look at. So America was not America until 1776, correct? So from 1776 to 1802.
It was only 13 colonies. Go ahead.
Right, that's all it was. There were 13 colonies, and that's all you had up until 1802. And then you had the Haitian Revolution, right? And the Haitians put that whooping on France. And so France couldn't recover. And so here you have these, what were 13 colonies, purchased during the Louisiana purchase, bought all this land, correct? So now here, like I said, we're still around 1804, 1805, going into 1810, right? As soon as they got what they thought was the rights to this land, what happened? You seen a war happen against the indigenous people. This is when what is called the Seminole Wars started, and the Seminole Wars went on from that early 1810, maybe up into 1850. And what is Seminole? Seminole means runaway slave, right? So these Seminole Indians, you had a war for almost 40 to 50 years with a people. So obviously it wasn't just a few people; it had to be a lot of people. And what else did you see passed in the mid 1800s? The Indian Removal Act. So this gave all foreigners and all what you call Europeans the rights to remove Indians from their land by any means necessary. So what else happened during that time period? If you look in Virginia state records. That's when the reclassification of what color and race really was. So this was the removal by paper and the removal by force that was happening in America.
And most people got to understand, this is where black and the word white as a people come from. Exactly. Out of the state of Virginia. People keep thinking that we was always called this.
No.
Black and white, the division of black and white and the classification of people to keep a group of people, to keep your lower class from being this. They had to find a separation. Let me call the poor whites white and call the poor indigenous people blacks, so we can create another separation.
Even though they're on the same level.
But see, this is the thing about most people have to understand is when you see, say for instance, we see all the massacres or all the, riots and stuff happen, it's the ignorant class Caucasian people that's mad at the intelligent, melanated people of that area. In other words, I am so jealous because you are advancing farther than me because I'm white. America is white. I need to show who I am. I got pride. So what I do, I burn down what you have. So you have to start back over.
I mean, that happened a lot. If you look at the history of it, they always burned down these towns where these businesses were thriving, where these economics were thriving. If you notice that everybody that they hang, right, they always have suits on.
Always dressed up.
Well dressed. Why? Because they're business owners, and they hung them and lynched them to make a point. If you go into business, if you try to be self-sufficient, this is what's going to happen to you. And so, let me finish about the middle of the 1800s. Something else was signed into around 1870 or so, what was called the Homesteaders Act. And so you had this act where the United States said to Europe, bring us all the people that you can bring, and we'll just give them land. We'll give away millions and millions of acres. They don't have to earn it. You know what? They don't even really have to work it that much because we got slave labor still here, right? So this was the Homesteaders Act. If you even listen to what's written on the Statue of Liberty, it says, "Give us you're tired, you're broken, you're poor, you're sick. It don't matter who. Just give them to us because we need people over here. We need population." And so there was a huge influx of Europeans from like 1850 to the 1900s. They haven't always been here in that type of number. But they had to flush out the melanated people that were here. Now think about it. What's going on at the same time? The Indian Removal Act, and you have the lynching by paper, by law, right? Going on at the same time that you're flushing all these people into the United States and giving away land that belong to melanated people.
I don't know what I can't say nothing after that. All I know is it's just you just throwing out that knowledge that you have to read upon and study and try to get. So it's a lot. And then also you got to understand the Spanish wars, the Spanish Indian wars, because you got places like California, which
Right.
is a Spanish speaking, United States literally had to fight to take, understanding this, the whole situation in Florida with General Grant.
Jackson.
That was Jackson? I thought it was Grant. Grant must have been president at the time of this whole Indian Removal Act.
Yeah, the Seminole War. That was Jackson. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So, but we have to understand, what did they do? Because, in other words, Florida is another, Spanish-speaking city that we just don't pay no attention to. All these states has different names to it. We just happen to keep it. But again, these cities just didn't come out of nowhere. And they just happen to be like, hey, how about we build all these big memorials down here in downtown Philadelphia, and we just branch from that. Shit was already here.
Right. You know what's interesting about that, B? Is because look at it. Like I told you, all these things that were happening during the 1800s and the late 1800s, especially during the time of Reconstruction, right? Just go back and like I told you, the late 1800s, early 1900s. Just go back and look at when the Great Fires started happening in all of these cities. Fire in Wilmington, fire in Chicago, fire in New York, fire in cities in Florida, fire in Atlanta. Atlanta burnt down. So why did all these places suddenly become combustible at the same time when you see this influx of Europeans and you see a downgrade or this removal of melanated people? I mean,
I gotta remove all the past. I gotta get rid of all the past to say that we built this.
Right. Maybe it's coincidence. Maybe that's what it was.
But that's one hell of it's a lot of coincidence that's happening in this time frame. But again, you're not gonna get this in school. You're not gonna get this type of history taught to you. Certain schools might, but they're not going to teach you that, because that means you have to change the mindset of who you are. I need to keep you scared. I need to keep you thinking that you're not a part of nothing, so you won't get the courage and stand up.
Exactly.
I mean, you have to look at it. The civil rights movement, it's because we just got tired of them messing with us. Every time, they had to kill leaders because these leaders were speaking. Evidently we had something that they wanted. Because if we was so dumb or we was not educated enough, why would you want to be a part of? Why would you join? Why would you want to be a part? Why would you even care? You see what I'm saying? But
no. You in a good place. Let me spice it up just a little bit. You know how I do. Let me spice it up a little bit. So, the civil rights movement, right? Me, I think it was detrimental. This is why I say that. If you look at during the time of slavery, there were always revolution. There was always slave revolts, right? They just don't talk about it in the history books. There was always revolution, always, because people are only slaves when they stop fighting. People are only slaves when they stop running. People are only slaves when you don't have to put chains on them anymore and they stay, right? So there was always these revolts going on. This happened through the 1800s. That's why they had to end slavery. It's because they couldn't go to war and run a country at the same time. So they had to come up with it by law. And laws is the one that binds us more than anything. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you go into the 1900s. 1900s, they kind of let black people do what they want. So you seen how Harlem had a renaissance,
Mm-hmm.
and you seen Black Wall Streets pop up all over the United States, right? So they know that left to our own devices, we prosper, right? And we evolve faster than most groups, right? So that's why they say, well, you know what? We have to bring them under one umbrella, and give them the illusion of inclusion, that they're coming in with us, we're giving you civil rights. Why would a human have to give another human a civil right? We're humans. We all have the same inalienable rights, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you wouldn't have
Facts.
to give me, you wouldn't have to set civil rights up for me because we're
Mm-hmm.
the same. And I say the same, and I won't go into that, but I say the same. So why would I have to have civil rights? Why would I have to have rights that's different than yours? I wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we still fighting for civil rights? Why are we still fighting for rights that's different than everybody else? It makes no sense. It only shows that
Facts.
you're separate. So if you believe that you're separate, then you believe that you're inferior, and that you have to have somebody superior to give you uh, even ground. So this whole civil rights thing is to keep this whole inferior complex going, and to keep you to thinking that you're less than, that you need help. That's what the welfare system was set up for. You know, but when you look at the welfare and you do your studies on the welfare, you see that black people only get like 20% of welfare. 68% of it is given to white people, but yet they say we are the ones that are loading or overloading the welfare system, and that's
We
just not
always get blamed for stuff that we don't even do.
right. And the numbers just don't pan out.
No, but the fact is that is I have to keep a certain group of people thinking that way. This it's
Not,
kind of like it's kind of
not
like
just that group, everybody.
yeah, but it's kind of like I need to watch you. So for me to infiltrate you, how about I just join your clan? You see what I'm saying?
Right,
And
right,
that's what civil rights was basically is. We don't know these people. They keep evolving. We keep kicking them. They keep coming back. And they keep coming back stronger and stronger. Understanding when we study, think about when we do Black history. We study people that's between the 1900s until basically the 1960s.
right,
You see, did I just say that we study people from that area when we study Black history?
right,
We didn't
exactly.
we didn't become we didn't this whole coming together civil rights didn't happen till what a 1960 what 566 around that time frame.
Not, that's when you see the culmination of it. But the Civil Rights Act started in the 1800s. As soon as slavery was
Oh,
abolished.
you talking about that one? Okay, my bad. You talking about that
What
civil
I'm saying
rights
is,
act?
yeah, I'm
That's
saying it's
that,
all it's
but
all connected. But
then
but
at
yeah,
the same time, it just got challenged, and a lot of people didn't pay no attention to that.
right,
It just got challenged this year. That particular act, and that was Byron Allen when he was trying to show discrimination because he was trying to buy some networks, and it went all the way to the Supreme Court. Everybody
right,
else kept saying, no, this is wrong. This is against the law. This is against the law. Until you get to the civil, when you get to the Supreme Court, he lost in the
yeah,
Supreme Court. He lost in the Supreme Court. And what happens is they used that act and they were saying, are we really discriminating? You see what I'm saying? So
right,
you talk about that Civil Rights Act and that turnaround, it literally was put into question less than a month ago before
right,
everything shut down. So you have to say less 2 months ago, but nobody knows anything about it because it was kind of swept under the rug for you not to understand what he was doing and why he was really, really pushing for what he was pushing for. Because he was showing everybody my civil rights is being violated. And they had to they digged into the crates to try to
yeah,
prove that he wasn't. And I mean, I didn't pay no attention to it until I heard about it, and I was like, "What is he talking about?" Because I didn't know those rights was already in the play. Because
Right.
anytime we think about civil rights, we keep thinking about Martin Luther King and the stuff that he did and the movement that went on
Right.
then. But this was already put into play back then. But again, we're not going to know because we don't want to know, or it's been erased from our history. In other words, if I
Right.
can get in your computer and wipe out your memory of your computer, you lose everything. So you have to start over. That's what
Exactly.
we as a people is constantly keep doing is we keep starting over. And it's in the books. They keep everything documented. That's the part that most people don't understand. Everything is documented. To the fact is, history is always going to be history. You just got to understand what version of the history you want to listen to. If you want to listen to the
Exactly.
true version, or you want to listen to that version they're going to give you to make you feel at ease and feel calm and feel a part of this
Right.
new American culture that we have here. But it's deep. It's real. You just got to
Yeah.
understand it. But when we start talking about history, people get tired. They be like, "Oh my God, here we go again." They be like, "Okay, here it
I
is."
mean, those who are fail to learn their history are doomed to repeat it again. You know, so that's why you keep seeing this cycle happen. You see this renaissance of this renewal of consciousness and education, and then that something happens and knocks us back down to the same place where we're always almost starting over again. So, like I said, it's just interesting to me if we critically think about what happened in the United States. A lot of this would clear itself up, and we'd have a better understanding of place and who we are
Sorry
in
about
the
that.
America. No, no, no. I'm talking to them anyway. So,
Yeah, I did some people in my yard. I was like, "What? Huh?" Sorry about
right.
that. Go ahead.
No, you good, you good. But yeah, man, the civil rights thing. The first case that even challenged civil rights was the slaughterhouse. It was down in New Orleans in 1869, 1870 something. And it's funny because it wasn't black people that actually brought it up. Um, and that was the first case involving civil rights. It was in New Orleans. I had to look through some of my paperwork and find that for you and bring it out. But the slaughterhouse rules or something like that.
Whoa. But at the same time, that's the whole time when the biggest revolt that almost happened that didn't happen was in Louisiana. Louisiana was that's the
It was,
that's the
it was
that's
popping.
you have to understand they stopped slavery for many reasons, and one was they got tired of fighting us. We get
Yeah,
to a point that we don't want to, and what happens when we fight back? People listen. When we
right.
calm is when they say we got you. You know what I'm saying? And this is
Yeah.
something that we constantly keep doing. The whole situation, like say for instance, slavery stopped. Boom. The next time we get pissed off and we start rambling, saying we tired of this, boom. All right, civil rights. Boom. You're a citizen. All right, you're an American citizen. No. I'm a citizen to the United States. I was already an American citizen here in America. Now under the Corporation of America is where we got this new rights and stuff. So it's a lot, man. It's a lot of stuff, man.
And why you
Yeah,
putting
we,
that in
we
there?
can we can.
Why are you using that?
Mm,
The Corporation of America. It's always good to look up the Dred Scott case. And what the Dred Scott case said that the Africans could not be U.S. citizens, and that's why they keep pushing you to be Africans, because you don't understand what's legally yours and what you're legally entitled to when you keep claiming a different nationality.
Facts. That's that's the only way you consider being a foreigner. That's why they keep saying that you're a foreigner, that you came here on a slave ship. You came here on a slave ship. You came here on a
Right.
slave ship. So I can say you're a foreigner. You wasn't here. So this land was not yours because you wasn't here.
Well, you
See what I'm
you
saying?
came on a cruise liner. So what's the difference? Slave ship, cruise liner, they all the same.
A lot of people don't understand, man. Just you can't even ship that many people here now. So
No.
you thinking they did it back then without no steam, just with the wind? So you telling me, you telling me Mother Nature said, you know what, y'all, take my people over there to the new land.
Right.
Take these people out of this continent and put them over there.
But like I said, here's another critical thinking thing, right?
Mhm.
This is another critical thinking. So when you look at, they do have records because every ship that left from England over to the new land, it was insured, right? So they had records of what ships traveled. Now, just from the records that they kept, that 5% of the Africans that they took from Africa made it to the United States. 5%. 15 to 10%. 10% went to the islands, or what you call the Caribbean, right? And the other 85 went to what you would call to today Brazil. Okay, so, and this is, like I said, just critical thinking. We both traveled out of the country and around the world,
Mhm.
but when you were in the Caribbean, did it have like a West African feel to it? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. The color, the vibrant color, the
Mhm.
sound, the music, right?
Mhm.
If you go to Brazil, exactly the same thing. You see the West African culture. But now you come to the Americas where all these African slaves were brought, but you don't see it. You don't see it.
Mm.
You don't see it anywhere in America unless, they're doing some kind of Black History Month thing. That's when you see people, they'll break out of their West African garb and whatnot. Uh, but no cities are like that.
That's interesting.
Charleston,
That's
Charleston,
interesting.
You do have what they call your Geechee brothers and sisters, these Gully people, you know. But that's in Charleston where the slave port was. New Orleans, same way, and you have the same thing in New York, right? So that tells me that all this 50 million Black people that are in the United States don't have any idea of their West African history. Not
Interesting.
any idea. 50 million people, but yet the Caribbean do, Colombia do, Brazil do, Venezuela does, Honduras, they do, Costa Rica, they do. But the United States, where 50 million these stolen Africans are, they don't have any idea what any West African traditions, any West African uh, way of dressing. That, and we're supposed to believe that.
That's
See,
interesting.
you've you've been detached from your history here in America for so long that we're floating and we don't know what uh, culture to attach us to. So that's why they give you African American. Oh, you're African American. Now you start to culturally bind yourself to being African, but you don't understand that these strand of Black people that are in America had left Africa for 100,000 years.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? It's been a long time since we've been
No,
connected.
dude. I never looked at it like that. I never really paid no attention to that because we don't show too much a lot of African heritage.
Right.
We
There's a
do a lot
reason.
of it's wow.
Critical thinking, man. We don't critical think. We allow somebody else to think for us. That's what religion does. you have to go hear somebody else's thoughts on what a higher power is trying to tell you. I mean,
Wow.
if it's a higher power that we're connected to, I don't need a middleman.
Wow,
We're
dude,
the same way with history.
you just dropped the bomb on me. You got me sitting here, but this like I'm like, dude, it just made perfect sense right there. That wow. That's all I can say is wow. Yeah, that's
And like I said, you don't have to believe me. Go look for yourself. That's what I did. I went to Honduras. I went to Guatemala. I went to Costa Rica. I went to Venezuela, Aruba. I seen it for myself. Don't have to believe me. You got people down there, and I'm a butcher this word, but I think it's Grafafina people, and they'll tell you that they've never been enslaved. They've never been slaves. This whole time that people been in the islands, they've never been enslaved. That's in Honduras. That's in all of Central America. I think it's Guafafina. I may be pronouncing it wrong. Probably are, but I'm telling you, man, it's too much out there. It's too much out there to not critically think about what we're talking about. Like I said, don't believe me. Go look it up for yourself.
No, because that makes you think about a lot of different things. Because again, wow, it's all I can say is wow, because we don't, and then we don't question it.
Mm-hmm.
We don't question it, and we just accept it for what it is. Now, I mean, I have studied the history of my people, of my dad's people, and for my uncle and for my great uncles, and say our family was never in slavery. And it's like, what? How can you say that? Because from what we taught, every Black person that's here was under slavery. It's like, dude, our family was never under slavery. And then I'm saying like, interesting. That is powerful, but at the same time, you have to sit back and you have to look at it. For somebody to make a bold statement like that and he can back it up, you have to turn around and have a sense of, you have to change your mindset, because if we're slaves in the mind.
That's it. That's exactly where we're
always been slaves in the mind. But at the same time, do we scared to question it, because who do we question? You see what I'm saying? That's why the conscious community is constantly clash with each other, because we questioning ourselves, versus we need to attack the people that's giving us this false history, because again, we'll sit here and believe it and not really say anything about it, because we have no other source of understanding where our history is. And that's and the people that and the people that was here, they killed them off. Exactly. They don't kill people off unless it's a reason for them to kill people off. That's why everybody have to understand Martin Luther King turned around and was having to change a part about us becoming a part of this corporation. He actually wanted to back out because he felt like he made a mistake, because we're not going to get, it's like you start a new job. Are you going to get treated the same way that people that's been there 5, 10, 15 years?
Nope.
So
you're not going to get the same benefits.
You at the bottom of the barrel, and you have to move your way up. Once we became united into this corporation, we at the bottom. It's like we're the janitors. You have to work your ass off just to get out of that janitorial spot. And now, basically that's what we're doing. But go ahead, because I know I just tapped on in.
that right there is, now you're really starting to see what America is. See, we always so concentrated on racism, right? And it's easy to do because everybody in the world has a prejudice, right? So in your heart, you feel racism is right, or if not right, but there, right? But you don't understand classism. classism is what happens in America. They keep a certain class of people locked into position. You know, you don't have to be a slave if you're impoverished. If you don't have anything, you're going to do the same thing a slave would. If you need to work, you're going to work right along with a slave because you're being held at a certain point where you have nothing. And so it's hard to distinguish between an extremely poor person and a slave. They probably live in the same place. They eat the same things. But yeah, they may not be owned by somebody, but they still have to work for that same person.
Sure.
So we got to understand what classism is. We got to understand what racism truly is, and understand that both of these are systems, and they're not emotions of how somebody feels about one another. These are systems that are in place. And until we can understand the mechanisms of these things, we'll always stay in that same place, man.
We're always going to be fighting.
Always.
And fighting. The thing about this young group, this generation, they're a bunch of fighters now. And that's why the fear is so deep, because the old America, the old Americans are scared of the new crop that's coming up, because they feel like it's another revolt about to happen. In other words, that is the fear. So what do I need to do to keep that fear down?
Right.
I militarize the police to put that fear back into the people, to sit them back down and make them think twice. People don't get it.
Let me show you something. No, you right on it. Let me show you something. So you talked about these young people, right?
Uh-huh.
For revolution to happen, that's who always does it, is the young people. See, the key is all the older folks, they're supposed to be the brains of the operation. So that's why they teach young and old to hate each other. Because if you look at the civil rights movement, look at who they sicking the dogs on. Those are young people. Look and see who they hitting with the water hose. Those are young people, because the young people had the energy to get out there and get it. It was the older people that were guiding them. See, now here we are today. I got you. Now here we are today. We have the young energy, but they're not connected to the old spirit.
Boom.
So, you know what I'm saying? But I know we're getting long in the two. We can finish this another day. I hope it's inspired some people.
I hope I do. I mean, everything is running low, and plus I got my neighbors in my yard. I got some guys that are doing some cutting down some trees in my yard, so that's why I had to step outside on my balcony, because when I see people around, I get a little nervous. But not only that though, is I got to spend time with my boys. At 3 o'clock they're finished with their school work, so I have to go and check stuff. So I got to play daddy now. So and be what I be. But I do appreciate this time being on again. I'm actually, be honest with y'all, I'm trying to get out here and get some of this sun.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful damn day out here.
I'm about to get some more of
it. That sun is out, so and stuff like that. So I appreciate being on today, man. The Three-Headed Monster podcast on Podbean. Check us out. I'm probably gonna end up putting this on the pod. I actually would download this on our podcast too. So if you so you can literally hear us talking, because we don't have all this constructive. We don't have all the other things. So again, this is what we do. We just talk. We bounce off each other. We connect. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's a three-headed monster, because once Brother Tut on, we're all connecting and we all in the same body. That's why it's a three-headed monster, 3 different mindsets, 3 different opinions, but we all in unison to try to understand we on one goal. So that's why we consider ourselves a three-headed monster, because we don't come at you, but again, we help each other. if I say something crazy, they know how to reel me back in. And that's what we do. That's love, and that's understanding, and that's unity,
No
because
doubt.
we're a unit. We're a unit. You know,
No doubt.
Brother Tut is not King Tut. I keep saying Brother Tut, but King Tut's not on because he's constantly. No, it's not. He's currently at work right now. So,
Right.
but trust me, if he can't be on, he gonna be on. But then we're not even. We're on 3 different levels. We're all striving to get to the same course. We're on the same course, on the same path of understanding and enlightenment and knowing thyself and getting this. You can't complain. If you sit back and say, "Oh, them dudes don't know what they're talking about," what are you talking about?
Right.
What are you?
Go
What are
research.
you trying to put out there?
Go
What
research.
information are you trying to put out there to open the mindset of us as a people? Because it's a lot of people that ain't, and you can complain all you want to. Hey, they ain't gonna stop us from doing what we're doing. We gonna keep pushing. So I appreciate it, brother. We do our thing. It's another one that we done did.
No doubt.
But go ahead. That's my end. And again, to all the people that's on the front line working in these hospitals, these medical places, thank you. Be safe.
Yes, sir.
Prayers goes out to you, and and encouragement and the strength that you're pushing out there, because a selfish person be like, yo, I quit.
Right.
I don't care about you that much. So
Right.
I appreciate the people out there on the front line. So
No doubt.
keep doing what you're doing.
No doubt. Yeah, we're gonna get out of here. If you have any questions, please type them in. Even if you're watching this late, type it in. Type in your questions. Maybe show ideas. Keep getting at us, the three-headed monster. And we'll see y'all later. Peace and love.
Peace.
All right. You still recording?
I know. I told you, man, my computer's slow, man. No, I think we off now. Okay. No, we still recording, but we're not on Facebook.
Okay.
So let me stop the recording.
All right.
Okay, stop recording.
Yes.
All right.
Oh, stop. Okay, still say record. Maybe it'll take a minute on this side.